temperature today keeps these drivers fresh, and even psychologically will help them. They can run at a hard pace for a lot longer. There's the 13 car. They have stopped on the track right now, so that is Mike Sheehan and Jim Pace. They're still moving, but it does look like they're just getting the car. Yes, they are. They're pulling off to safety, so they do not have any intention of completing this lap. I don't know what could have happened there. That is one of the little cars that is done by the owner of car number 63, Jim Downing. That's a kudzu.
Every driver has racing luck. Sometimes it's bad. It just was for unlucky number 13 today.
Inside Bryce Kopp's car, this is number 19, the Spice Chevrolet. We're going to get a great view from this because you can actually see the tack. And here is Wayne Taylor. This is the Chevrolet GTP almost alongside. The car immediately to your left is Bryce Kopp, so we're going to get a good view from the back.
The green flag is up as the Toyota got into the opening straight. Waiting to see if it's a good one. If they take the green flag, we're underway for an hour and 40 minutes.
Look at this. There is contact already, and that is Bryce Kopp getting up to second place in that Spice Chevrolet. Unbelievable. These guys go at it tooth and nail, but the dominance. One of the fun things is like, oh, okay, now we're on board Bryce Kopp, and this is a view of just what those Toyotas have looked like all season long. Watch where they will gain and where they will lose ground. They are particularly strong in the braking areas. Right here, now they're going uphill. This is entering the old section of track, which is extremely fast. You need all the horsepower you can get. There's a little bend to the left up ahead. You'll see Bryce lift off just briefly, and bang, right back to the floor here. Hard acceleration up this hill, all 750 horsepower. The top of this hill will be the course. Spectacular right here. Watch it drop away. Now look at him fight the wheel. It takes a really delicate touch, but look at the dominance. These Toyotas are the leading edge of technology. I don't think there has ever been a car in the history of IMSA that has been quite as advanced as these cars, and they show.
It's a high-tech track. You have to drive it hard. 11 turns, and they come up on you fast, Bill, here.
Boy, very quickly. This section down past the pits where they go across that hump, they are well over 150 miles an hour, braking all the way down to about 40 through this double apex corner. And then in the infield, again, when I alluded to it in the track description, turns 1 and 2 used to be virtually flat out 160 mile an hour range. And it is something that you can appreciate a little bit, but not as much as you can by watching through the infield section. More braking, more finesse required down through here, and the spectators love it. It's a great viewing track.
Fangio running on the lead. The Toyota crew has been hard at work. They say the race cars must be set up much differently than a year ago when Fangio won. IMSA, the International Motorsports Association, has changed the specifications for these GTP cars. The Toyotas are now 200 pounds heavier than a year ago. They have less power because of a restricted air intake, and they carry less fuel than a year ago. So Juan Fangio, the favorite, running on the lead here at Monterey. And we'll come back. The continuance of this timed 1 hour and 40-minute race, the IMSA Monterey GT.
This NBC Sports Special is brought to you by Toyota and their full line of quality cars and trucks. Toyota, I love what you do for me. And by Edge Shave Gel. Ultimate closeness, ultimate comfort. That's the Edge.
Some people say it's impossible to tell where the flesh and blood stops and the machine begins. But it really doesn't matter. Because whenever you put Ivan Ironman Stewart together with a Toyota truck, you know where they're gonna finish.
Why get an inferior foam shave when you could have the best? Why choose ordinary lubrication when you could have the richest? Why settle for average protection against razor irritation when there's something more advanced than foam? Edge Gel. Ultimate closeness. Ultimate comfort. That's the Edge. And now there's new soothing Edge Aftershave for sensitive, dry, and normal skin.
I can take care of myself in the ring, but in my car, I've got to protect a lot more than just my pretty face. Like, George, George, George. And George, that's why I trust my brakes to Meineke. They're experts, so I get high quality service at a low price. Heck, with all these Georges, I could use that extra money for food.
Now more than ever, at Meineke, you're not going to pay a lot, but you'll get a lot.
I guarantee it.
This is Don Criqui with Bill Adams and his very quick teammate, P.J. Jones. There is a development, though. The number 19 car expected to challenge that of Price Cobb had a drop back. There was a problem. He came in. Let's find out more from Brian.
Well, sometimes it's the little things that trip you up. Sometimes it's the little things that trip you up during the course of a weekend. You spend all weekend trying to do everything as well as you can. In this particular case, he was out racing, doing as well as he could, but his door came open. They had to bring him in, literally just latch the door shut, send him back out. Didn't take much time, but it's time he couldn't afford.
It is so true. It's just a game of little things. And boy, look at this lead battle. Once again, these Toyota teammates are not going to sit back and just give a win to the other. Look at PJ. He's going to try it down the inside, cannot do it. Fangio got in deep enough under braking, did not give him the opportunity, but PJ is really challenging hard.
Fangio got him early last year. As we mentioned, P.J. Jones was on the pole, and Fangio took the lead on the first lap yesterday after Fangio qualified on the pole. P.J. said, well, today he won the pole. Maybe tomorrow I'll win the race. He's the only guy who's beaten Fangio this year. Did that at Daytona.
Fangio has been just about perfect this year. We never see him make a mistake as they're coming up to lap one of the stranger cars in this field. It looks like something you'd expect Michael Keaton to be driving in Batman. That may be a car of the future. That's a very strange car called an Allard, but extremely high-tech and very expensive. The unfortunate part is it is not going very quickly yet.
These are the fastest sports cars in the world. On extended straights, they're capable of over 200 miles an hour. This is a 2.2-mile course, 11 turns up and down hills here in Northern California. Of course, the drivers have to drive hard every bit of the way.
It truly is remarkable. There's a great battle for second place developing too. Third and fourth place. That's Wayne Taylor in the Chevrolet GTP, along with Derek Bell right behind with that beautiful Momo Nissan. The Nissan, as we all remember, was a car that was dominant in IMSA a very short time ago, and it shows the level of technology here. Taylor's car up ahead, that is a car that is totally American designed and built. Bob Riley did this car, originally called it the Intrepid, running a 6.5-liter Chevrolet engine. A lot of ground effects. The red car behind the Momo car, which is really closing up under braking right now, that's going down to the smaller V6 turbocharged Nissan engine. So dramatically different styles.
Now going in car with Price Cobb, and he's starting to move back up after some earlier problems.
Well, all of a sudden, Derek Bell in that Momo car may be so involved in this battle with Wayne Taylor that he might not be watching the mirrors. And lo and behold, here's Price up just to knock on that door. Watch him inside, and we can see where Price is going to try and make an attempt to pass. This is the tight left that goes uphill. Right now, we use all the horsepower we're going uphill. There's a downhill shot we can see. That's Wayne Taylor, then Derek Bell, then Price Cobb. And at the top of this stretch here, that's where the corkscrew will take place. So stay here and just join us as we watch the cars go down through the corkscrew and see how they compare. Now, tight up against it. Perfect by Price. Duck to the inside. You can see he's made it by Derek Bell. He is up to fourth place. He's going to go by under third place now, too. Look at this. Inspirational driving by Price Cobb. Spectacular. And also, Derek Bell took that momentary diversion to get by Wayne Taylor. Wayne was occupied, trying to let him get by on the inside of the corner, allowed Derek the opportunity of a clean shot, too.
Right now, we're on board with Wayne as he tries to make up some ground. Wayne Taylor running on the lead is the pole sitter. Juan Fangio the second, driving smoothly, a masterpiece of synchronization. He and his car extending the lead a bit now over P.J. Jones.
This car that we're on board right now has been something of a disappointment, actually. A car that, when it was originally brought out, Tommy Kendall was driving, and it was just staggering with its performance. It had remarkable, you really can't say anything else, performances at tracks like Lime Rock and different places because of its downforce. It was so far ahead of everything else, but then seemingly everybody caught up and passed it. And it's a car that has been a handful for Wayne. He and his team have been trying very, very hard with this car. Admittedly, they are not well financed, although this is such an expensive race situation to get into that you have to have a fortune. But he does a good job with the car.
Now we'll take a look at the lights leader.
Parker Johnston, once again, this is almost standard fare in the lights class. He has been so dominant over these past years. Parker getting right to the edge of the track there, drives these cars extremely well, and another one of these drivers who rarely makes a mistake.
Parker has fond memories of Laguna Seca. He grew up nearby, and he said his first memories of seeing a road race were on his dad's shoulders on a hill overlooking Laguna Seca. Now he's one of the dominant drivers on the circuit.
Also one of the dominant teams, the Spice chassis and the Acura motor have turned out to be a perfect mating. The reliability that they have shown has been just really amazing at times. Very tiny little cars. They have changed over the years in their evolutionary process, and you can see that the windshield, the center section of the car, is very small. It does not go fender to fender any longer. They try and get as tiny a section as possible and yet still fit within the rules, because it boils down to aerodynamic drag. The wider windshield has to push more air. The narrower you can make it, the faster the car you have in the straight lines.
Parker Johnstone will be driving with Dan Marvin. Two drivers in each of the light cars. About half the horsepower of the GTP cars, GTP standing for Grand Touring Prototype. So right now, the favorites are on the lead in both divisions. Juan Fangio in the GTP and Parker Johnstone in the lights.
Soon, you'll hear it. The best long-distance service is about to get even better. It's a breakthrough from AT&T Bell Labs, and it makes AT&T sound quality dramatically superior to any other long-distance company. So much clearer, closer, and more natural. Even 8 out of 10 people who don't have AT&T prefer it. AT&T True Voice, coming in the months ahead, free. Just another part of the iPlan.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Bonfire! You shake my nerves and you rattle my brain. But your love drives a man insane. You broke my will, what a thrill. Just in this rage, great balls of fire.
Bosch Platinum, the ultimate spark plug.
If you're looking for a new career opportunity, listen to this. There's never been a better time to be an electronics repair technician, like me. We're really in demand, and you could be too. The National Education Center is now offering a course to train you as an electronics repair technician. Call now for a copy of this brochure. This could be your chance of a lifetime.
For a brochure on career training in electronics, call 1-800-645-4800. 1-800-645-4800. Call now.
He doesn't like power breakfast. He'll take a pass on poetry. Deep down, he's a grown-up Boy Scout. Way grown. He likes feeling clean and cool and very male. And he knows how to get there. Where have you guys been? Brute. Men are back.
We return to the Monterey GT presented by Toyota here at Laguna Seca. And here's how it looks right now in the GTP car race. Juan Fangio, the pole sitter, going for his 7th straight victory on this circuit, is in the lead. T.J. Jones, his Toyota teammate, right behind. Bryce Cobb, who had some early difficulties, has moved back into 3rd place, followed by Derek Bell. And Wayne Taylor. Wayne is a hard luck guy. Always fast, but he always seems to break down. And there's some good news. The number 13 car, which went off on the pace lap, is now back racing, Bill. Michael Sheehan.
This is really strange. It must have been some type of electrical problem that allowed the driver to get out, track it down, and actually fix it himself. So he probably will just duck into the pits as soon as he gets an opportunity. No, he's staying out. I don't understand what he's doing. That does not make any sense at all. He missed the pit entrance. The only thing, perhaps he was looking at something in the car itself. You can see how slowly he is going as he is being lapped again by the Toyota. pulls to the inside edge of the track so as not to interfere with the traffic.
Right now, he's a world-class back marker. The back of the field is going nowhere.
Yeah, he has just added one more corner to this track at Laguna Seca. That's exactly what he's done. It looks like Juan Fangio has been able to pull out a tiny gap right now over PJ, and I don't think it's because of PJ's lack of trying. We can watch him in the corners. He's using all of the track and more. There he is right there. These cars are so fast around this track. It is amazing to watch. In the qualifying sessions and the practice sessions, the speed with which they can decelerate is even more impressive than the acceleration. They are unbelievable. And as I said again, this is the ultimate car in the technological battle. There has never been anything quite as good as these. It's going to be sorry to see them go at the end of this year.
The technology is unbelievable. Just a 2.1-liter displacement of these Toyota engines, 4-cylinder engines, and they generate over 700 horsepower.
Yeah. Again, and there's another moving corner going around the track there. Interesting, too, these engines are all done by TRD, this Toyota Race Development, where the man in charge of these, Brino Miller, originally did the Porsche 962 engines. What goes around comes around.
Fangio is 36 years old. And there's another Juan Fangio on the scene, his 1-year-old son, who no doubt will be a driver one day, maybe a great one, like Uncle Juan Fangio. And his dad, who were born in Buenos Aires, he now lives in Miami, Juan Fangio. Let's go down to Rick.
Well, let's talk about the Toyotas and what the weather did to them today. They were playing havoc with their tire choices. Normally, they decide early on what they're going to be running for the day. But because the sun hadn't come out, they weren't sure what the track temperature was going to be like. As a result, the tire guys literally had just about every combination they could think of laying around. It wasn't until 15 minutes before the start of the race that they finally said, we're going to go with this combination. A little bit harder on one side, a little bit softer on the other. But literally, that's the last minute for these guys to be putting tires on these cars.
No luxury of power steering in these cars. Road shock is enormous. It really wears down the drivers as the race goes on. And now the number 13 car of Michael Sheehan is off the course. Let's go down to Brian.
Make your way back over here.
Graham Everett is the crew chief for car 13. Jim Pace is now in the car in conversation with Jim right now. What is wrong with the 13 car?
Quite unusual because the car's been very reliable all year, but it seems as though it's probably broken a two-pronged pinion. The ring and pinion seems to have had a major failure on the opening lap of the race.
Probably terminal for that car. Gentlemen?
Well, that is unusual. These are normally very, very reliable cars. Part of the reliability here, looking at car number 10, is also sitting off the side of the track. That's DeLong right now, and that's a Buick Tiga. They have been suffering a few problems to him. No, he's trying to get his underway as well. You can just see pump the clutch here, stalled it for a moment, but now he's going back out of the track.
He is able to fire the engine, but for how long we'll see. He's not part of the picture right now, even though he's back on the track. Let's go back to the leader. And here comes Juan Fangio II.
One more time down that course through. Such a spectacular track this is. Really beautiful. That track probably is the most well-photographed spot of any racetrack in North America. Everybody just goes up there with their cameras. It is beautiful. All a part of Fort Ord, military base that we're on right now.
Fangio in his Toyota, followed by teammate P.J. Jones, both sweeping over the course.
It's dramatic. As they approach down here to turn 1, they are well over 150 miles per hour. And just on the edge of our screen, we're able to see some orange pylons. They're using those as braking markers. The Toyotas consistently went one set of markers deeper than anybody else, including Price Cobb in the Spice Chevrolet. And Price got very, very brave during qualifying. But again, the superiority of this particular design of Dan Gurney's cars has been nothing short of amazing.
Gurney, who heads up the Toyota team, another great world champion who retired back in 1970, but his fame hasn't ebbed at all. He's still one of the biggest celebrities on the racing circuit. And right now, he's watching this race become a chase again with Juan Fangio in the lead and the rest of the field in pursuit.
And watch how easily he will go by. There's that number 10. Now, he actually is stopped in a fairly dangerous position. That may require a pace car to come out and get him out of there. If he can't get that car moving. Even though the cars that come around the corner, as we can see behind him, do have a good view of him, you never want to leave a car in that precarious position, because eventually you may get hit by another vehicle passing somebody who just might forget for a moment. We'll go back up and have a look at the leaders again. Juan Fangio has already put a lap on Wayne Taylor. That's the Chevrolet GTP that he has already gone around.
Because of that stalled car on the course, we could get a yellow caution coming out. Now we're on board with Wayne Taylor.
Earlier you talked about the difficulty of steering these cars. This is one of the very few cars that actually has power steering. It was something that was designed and engineered into the car by Bob Riley, because he chose, as there's PJ just blowing past us down that straight, and I guess he's going to disappear away as we go uphill once again. But Riley designed the car desiring to get as much downforce as possible, and like anything else, the more downforce, the heavier the steering gets. So he deliberately put a power steering unit, almost a stock Corvette unit, onto this car, and it has been very reliable. It's a real luxury. To sit in one of these race cars for a 1 hour and 40-minute race, to be turning front tires that are almost 12 inches wide and extremely high steering effort, it's very taxing, very, very physically demanding. So the addition of power steering keeps you fresher longer. Ah, now here's a surprise.
This is P.J. Jones ready to pit early on schedule. Let's go down to Rick.
P.J. Jones, of course, coming in to take advantage of the yellow flag. They had been talking all during the race that they were expecting perhaps to go one full stop and maybe a splash for gas towards the end. This plays perfectly into their hand. This is that splash gets them in a little bit early. They can go back out knowing that they're only getting one more stop, and that'll play into their hand.
He got word of that yellow caution coming out faster than we did. And another great tactical move by that team is a quick pit, splash of fuel, and he could go the distance now. P.J. Jones. So with Juan Fangio, a master of any race course, on the lead, we break for a moment from Laguna Seca.
The Toyota Celica GT Extra Value Package is so incredible you can't resist it.
The warbled egret poised.
See? In Birmingham, where they are doing CAT scans at the present time on Stan Smith. The standings as we approach a restart, as we say, in 20 minutes to half an hour. Ernie Irvin is out in front, Ricky Rudd in second, Kyle Petty third, Earnhardt and Gordon rounding out the top five. Looking further back in the field, in sixth spot is Bobby Labonte, Morgan Shepherd is seventh, Brett Bodine, Ken Schrader, and Mark Mountain round out the top 10. After these commercial messages, we'll rejoin the Tour de France on CBS this afternoon with James Brown.
Together with the power of 3, new Edge Aftershave skincare for men. Ultimate comfort. That's the Edge.
Just when you thought it couldn't get any hotter, NFL football is back. Live next Sunday, return to Barcelona when the Pittsburgh Steelers take on Steve Young and the San Francisco 49ers.
Then, following the game, 10 of the NFL's elite quarterbacks battle to be top gun. The Foot Action NFL Quarterback Challenge.
All next Sunday on NBC.
This is a timed race, as you see, just over an hour and 16 minutes remaining to be run. Juan Fangio, the pole sitter, still on the lead, followed by P.J. Jones, Price Cobb, Derek Bell, and Wayne Taylor. An addition that we saw debut in the Miami Grand Prix here on NBC Sports in February, Bill, was the World Sports Cars. What are they all about?
Well, what they're trying to do is to return IMSA to more people. Unfortunately, IMSA went downhill over the years because of the manufacturer involvement, and the prices really drove out a lot of the old owners, the Bruce Levins, the Bob Aikens, on and on and on. With these cars, open-top cars and stock block-based motors, they want to try and attract larger fields, more competitive fields. It definitely is the way to go.
So the World Sports Car running here at Laguna Seca. Let's find out more about them and their evolution.
When the World Sports Car class debuted in Miami, there was a lot of skepticism. Plenty of doubters who thought the change was just too drastic. It could never survive, which meant IMSA had a major challenge on its hands.
primarily to come up with a car that was easier for people to build and campaign, but at the same time maintaining a high level of performance and an attractiveness to the public by having them look as they do as modern race cars, and also introduce some new elements to the cars that I think will make them a lot more exciting and produce better racing than we've seen in the past couple of seasons in the Camel GT.
The first World Sports Cars we saw were makeshift affairs, which didn't do much to help the image of the new class. But as IMSA made it clear the World Sports Cars were here to stay, things began to change.
Starting about the 1st of May, the word started getting out that you could build sexy, fast, good-looking race cars with the rules we'd put out. And then people started deciding to build cars to go racing next year.
At least 8 or 9 of the world's conventional or standard race car manufacturers, people such as Spice and Fabcar and Reynard and Chevron, people that have traditionally built these kind of cars, are all currently working on new cars. And a lot of other people who in the past used to race these kind of cars are coming back and actually considering building their own cars, which is a new situation for us.
It was over in France where World Sports Cars got yet another boost. The organizers of the 24-hour race at Le Mans announced they are considering adopting the World Sports Car class for next year.
That was obviously a big plus. I think it's not only a plus for us, but it's a plus for sports car racing all over the world to have a common, if you will, Category 1 prototype car. We're looking forward to having a lot of our competitors over there next year, and hopefully some of them over in our series.
Now back to live racing here at Laguna Seca. Where do you think IMSA's headed yourself, Bill?
Well, I would very much like to see the return to privateers. I think the heyday of IMSA was perhaps 10 years ago. Again, I go back to people like Bruce Levin that ran Bayside Motorsport. Rob Dyson that ran James Weaver and Trice Cobb, and on and on. When the privateers could run it, we had more people out there running competitively. I guess ultimately that's what you want. You want the greatest field possible, as close as possible. Nobody likes a blow-off Super Bowl game where somebody wins 60-1. But if you have a very tight game or a very tight race, it's much more entertaining, both for spectators and for drivers.
Should point out that Bill, a native Canadian, you could have a 60-1 score in Canadian football in Bruges, right? Can't have one here.
You almost could, yeah.
Let's go down to Brian Hammonds in the pit.
Thank you, Don. Just to update you on why P.J. Jones ducked into the pits this early into the race. He just wasn't happy with the set of tires he had on the car. When the full course yellow came out, he wasn't going to lose much space on the racetrack. He ducked in, got a new set of tires, a full load of fuel. He's back out. Now let's go down pit road to Rick DeBrule.
While we were away as well, they managed to bring in the number 30 Nissan. The Derek Bell car came in a very standard pit stop. They changed tires, put in fuel. It was kind of slow. They had some problems getting the new tires on, but then they sent them back out.
You can see how fast PJ wants to make his mark and get back to the field. He does have the new tires on, but look how quickly they have come in for him. Already he goes by Wayne Taylor in the Chevrolet GTP car, is well on his way to catching. Here we're in car now again. Actually, on car. We're on the top of Wayne Taylor's rear wing, watching PJ's Toyota just disappear. That's 63. That's Tim McAdam, and let's go down to Brian.
Well, there is no driver change being made here. This is obviously an unscheduled stop. They do have to make a change later in the race. The fueling is done, the wheels are on, and now he kills the car. They'll bump start it, or at least try to. McAdam gets it to catch, and away he goes. Now, keep in mind, this is a new sequential gearbox, and they've been having some growing pains with it, and that might have been part of the problem that McAdam had getting out of the pits.
This is not only a course that the drivers love to compete on, it's a great place for spectators. Virtually any location, you can see virtually the entire course in this hilly country of Northern California.
Well, back up the leaders, and I wonder now if PJ is going to make more of a serious challenge on one. I would expect that he will. This is very much a gamble that PJ just did as far as ducking in the pits early. He did the same thing back at Miami. Went in early under a yellow situation, and it actually ended up costing him the race. It was not a good decision there. Here, you never know for sure. Wayne Taylor in that GTP, the Dan famous Amos car. Oh, and John Paul gets right off the track. Huge power slide as he's trying desperately to keep Price Cobb behind him. Here's Price's view of John Paul's car. That's the old 962 Porsche up ahead, turbocharged. We are in a normally aspirated, that is a fuel-injected 6.3-liter Chevrolet. Watch how the accelerations compare.
Another big advantage that the leader has, he's running in clean air all the time, or most of the time. See all that residue building up on the windshield of Price Cobb. You get oil and water and rubber bits.
Boy, and Price is just trying really hard to get by John, but John is fighting. Oh, gee, I thought they were going to make contact there. That gets my heart going when I see that. Now, Price has him cleanly here. The superiority of the Spice over the old Porsche chassis, even though this car has been worked on repeatedly, it's simply as an old car that is going quickly. Look at how Price is able to draw away. The Spice through the corner here puts all that Chevrolet horsepower down right up against the wall. And listen to the gears.
And the 63 car, having trouble earlier, is back in the pits. There's Brian.
And they're putting 4 new tires on the race car. So obviously this is a problem they just can't shake. We're not quite sure yet what the problem is. McAdams sitting patiently in the car. He pitted just 1 lap ago. He's off the jacks. Away he goes. And hopefully the problem is cured for Tim McAdams.
I would think in a situation like that, he either has a balance problem in that he feels a vibration in the car. Maybe they were unable to find it the first time, thought, well, take one more stab at it. And that's always something you worry about, particularly through the high-speed sections of the track. If the wrong part that is vibrating happens to break, you can have a really frightening time. Tim continues to go slowly around here. This is a brand new car. This is only its 2nd race. It was brought out a couple of weeks ago for Road America up at Elkhart Lake and is making its other appearance here. It's a 3-rotor car as opposed to the 2-rotor, the old style of Mazda. Puts out significantly more horsepower and torque and heat, unfortunately, as well. So they have some teething problems.
Bryce Cobb on board with him again now in the number 19 car. Running 3rd. Deciding on the composition for the tires is always a difficult thing. D.J. Jones says this track changes from hour to hour when the heat comes up. Let's find out more about how Bryce Cobb is going with Rick DeBrule.
Well, Price Cobb is doing especially well when you consider he's not running the tires he wanted to run. During the course of the weekend, they decided that the perfect tire for their car would be a very soft tire. The problem was Goodyear hadn't brought enough of them with them, and Wayne Taylor's team had already bought them all. As a result, Price Cobb is having to run a tougher tire, a stronger tire, a stiffer tire than they planned on running. As a result, they're having to go a little bit slower during the course, but the advantage may be towards the end of that tire run. They may have a little more left.
We'll be back after these words from your local station.
It's drive-in movie weekend. First tonight, Bill Cosby like you've never seen him. Invisible. Ghost Dad at 7, 6 Central. Also tonight, Crime as a New Enemy. Darkman at 9, 8 Central. And tomorrow, they won't stop till they bring home the bacon. Kevin Bacon, Reba McEntire, Tremors. Drive-in movie weekend. Ghost Dad and Darkman tonight. Tremors tomorrow on NBC.
We were born without words. So we were born without limits or boundaries or borders between us. What if we learned to express ourselves without words? Learned a language for the things beyond words. Paintbrush Diplomacy teaches that language by helping our children share their hopes and dreams with children around the world through the exchange of art, all in the hope that one day some words will have no meaning.
America's always been a country of inventors, a nation of relentless tinkerers, a land of improvisation. Businesses start in garages, hobbies turn into industries. And if you're Bank of America, you hold up your end of the job by making sure every business service is in place. For when the next brainstorm hits in the middle of the night, banking on America. Bank of America.
Well, I had a Ford Bronco, Ford Ranger. I was a Ford man. As a matter of fact, I had 2 Ford products, the 2 previous vehicles, and an F-250. I just wasn't happy with those, and I've gone to GMC, and I'm so far I'm very happy.
Right off the bat, you'll notice the horsepower when you step on it a little bit.
It's a smoother ride, has a lot more horsepower.
It has like the horsepower, the ride.
You got to drive it to believe it.
Better hurry. These hard-to-find Sierra Club coupes are now at your GMC truck dealer. And he'll give you a good deal, too.
The A's and the Angels back-to-back Monday and Tuesday at 7.
This is Don Criqui back live at the Monterey GT, and right now P.J. Jones is closing ground on the leader in the GTP, his teammate Juan Fangio II, and we could have a pass coming up here, Bill, Adam, any moment.
They're going at it. It's kind of like watching twin brothers. You tell them don't fight, don't argue, but every time they get out of your sight, they go at it tooth and nail. And P.J. is really catching him up quickly here. He is very fast ever since he got those tires changed. So perhaps the gamble is going to play off for him. I would expect that you may see Fangio let him by rather than contest it.
P.J. expressed concern yesterday about his car's stability on the course. He was really afraid he'd lose it a couple times, hitting those high speeds in the trial runs.
These cars are amazingly fast, particularly right here. This was the most impressive part of all, when they were decelerating from high speeds down to 30, 40 miles per hour. Right nose to tail here as they go through the infield section. You can see P.J. just showing Juan a little sign of the car going to the inside, letting him know for sure that he is there. Although they each have their own crew. There is not one crew chief that runs both cars. They have their own people to advise them, and each crew will let them know, Juan, P.J. is catching you by half a second a lap or whatever. So they are kept very well advised of each other's progress.
One of the most notable attributes of a GTP car is its ability to stop. They can really break down quickly.
B-R-A-K-E, yeah. Yes, amazingly so. With the ground effects, these cars can generate so much downforce that you literally, at high speed, could drive them onto a loop like you do on a roller coaster, and they would stay up on the ceiling.
Downforce built into the design. It keeps the car close to the track, almost a suction effect. But the road shock pounds away at the drivers as they drive on.
Little burst of smoke there at the back of P.J.'s car. I think he just may have barely locked a wheel. It would not do any damage to the tire if he just did that slightly. And occasionally we saw them doing this. There's a nice shot of Juan in qualifying right at this particular spot. They were getting in so deep that they occasionally locked the brakes. And P.J. did at one time so badly that he had to slow down for the rest of that lap, come into the pits to replace all 4 tires. He really flat spotted them badly.
These two turbocharged Toyotas carrying a lot of speed through the corners. They really handle the 11-turn course very well.
They're amazing. It has been fun to watch through the evolutionary process of IMSA, the different ideas in building the fastest GTP car in the world. We go from everything of 6.5-liter Chevys that are fuel injected all the way down to these, the smallest engines of the GTP cars, which are just over 2 liters. Just imagine 120-odd cubic inches and yet 750 horsepower.
Let's go down to Brian Hanna.
And the man who oversees this Toyota operation is Dan Gurney, and we've seen P.J. gain. We've seen P.J. gain on Juan. Is that a matter of just having fresh tires?
Well, no, it shouldn't be. I think he's just outrunning him at the moment. He does have more fuel load, so he's going a little bit better.
These two teams, really, it's not just Toyota against the world. It's two teams racing each other within the Toyota operation. How much information is shared between the two teams?
I'm sorry, how much information what?
How much information is shared between the two teams during the course of the race?
Probably 99%.
That probably helps some guys.
I want to know what the 1% is. What don't they tell?
Well, they don't tell when they're going to try to make a pass, and I think P.J. is getting set, trying to set one up now to take the lead for the first time from the pole sitter, Juan Fangio.
It may do good things for P.J.'s confidence if he is able to pull this off. The one thing Juan does is really to drive as close to perfection as possible, and he rarely ever makes any kind of a mistake, whether that's a missed shift, missing an apex, getting in too deep under braking. He is a remarkably controlled driver, and it's very unlikely that somebody can pressure him into making a mistake. Sometimes you do this with your opposition, where you force a driver too deep into a corner, make him lock up the brakes or miss the line, and you can get a pass on him. But Juan has been a remarkably good driver this way.
And now with the temperature climbing and high humidity in the air here in California, the cars running at high revs, they start hurting these cars. Could have some breakdowns before this is over as the Toyotas running on the lead 1 and 2. Fangio, P.J. Jones right behind.
And every time going into that first turn, or actually it's what they call turn 2 here, but every time into that loop, he actually closes up very bit. Wayne Taylor now, he appears to be going a lot more slowly than he was. Yes, he is. That was Parker Johnstone just up ahead. So Parker in a lights car has passed Wayne Taylor Chevrolet. Let's just listen to it for a moment.
So Parker Johnstown leading his class, the lights division. He's now 6th overall, having made that pass of Wayne Taylor.
Yeah, we can hear that the engine really is not revving nearly as high as it was, and I expect that Wayne may come into the pits this lap. He is following the more or less line of the track, but perhaps has a tire going down or something. Once again, the Toyota twins coming down this hill. This is all downhill. The cars already accelerate dramatically fast, but downhill is even quicker. Sometimes you get going faster than you want to. The tight section of track all the way back to first gear. And there is Wayne Taylor. He has come into the pits.
Let's go down to Rick and check this out. Rick?
This has been a very, very difficult weekend for Wayne Taylor. To start with, he had food poisoning. All weekend long, they've been chasing a variety of problems. Today, it was a misfire. They went out in the warm-up session, couldn't solve it then, worked on some things, took what's called a hardship lap. They actually got an extra lap before the race started to see if they could solve it. Once again, they weren't able to. He's been out on the track trying to chase the misfire. He's actually been short shifting, so he wouldn't actually go up through the part of the rev range where the problem existed. But as you can see, it looks like it's going to be a very serious one. He may be able to get back out, but he's not going to go fast again.
Could be race day's over for Wayne Taylor. Certainly as a competitor he is to challenge for anything. He's known that feeling before, always runs fast, and invariably has problems.
I think we can point out, too, that his sponsor had nothing to do with the food poisoning. That we went down and sampled some of the famous Amos cookies, and I'm here to tell you with about 8 extra pounds on my body that they're just fine.
But Wayne Taylor's car is not. Could be adios in Laguna Seca for Wayne.
He has just been having dreadful luck over the past few years.
Let's go back to Rick DeBrule.
Well, we're in the car with Wayne Taylor. Wayne, what's the problem this time, and how serious is it?
We seem to have developed some sort of misfire, and it's getting progressively worse. So it's almost impossible to drive. So we can kind of see some problem.
You had a problem a little bit earlier in the week. You came out with some food poisoning. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling fine. That's not a problem. Now it's the car.
So Wayne's fine, but the car's sick. Here's the leaders. Fangio and Jones.
They are continuing to run a pace that is only just a little off their qualifying times. They're both pushing very, very hard.
This is not a merry-go-round race course. Every driver drives hard all the way, and we'll return to Laguna Seca in a moment.
So, how do you spend your weekends? Mowing the grass? Watching the games on TV? Or maybe something a little less ambitious? We spend hours at the racetrack testing new innovations, developing new technology to make the Toyota you buy perform as well as it possibly can. After all, we wouldn't want you to lose any sleep over it.
Is simply a clever idea.
I'm just pulling out, not too far. And action. Cut. A note for the camera.
The camera films this, but played in reverse.
Now that's the look. It's like his peripheral, he knows he's there. It's like, but he's going there. Right.
For the commercial's grand finale, Barkley is filmed in front of what's called blue screen. This technique allows another shot to be added later. Why? Because they want to marry two great moves, but each one needs different lighting and focus.
Yeah, that'll work great.
This is what's going on behind Barkley.
Ready and action!
Now for the magic of blue screen. It produces a sharp-edged mask. So in the editing process, when Barkley is superimposed over Godzilla, the combined image is so seamless, you really believe they're on the same street corner. With all the shots in the can, Michael is liking what he sees.
I think it looks great, which is a relief. I mean, it really is. Not any obstacles. And we changed along the way and modified, but it's really neat that this stuff comes out like we wanted it to look.
After 8 days of filming and 4 weeks of editing, this 30 seconds of wizardry is ready for prime time.
Have you ever thought about wearing shoes?
Laguna Seca, the same as it's been. Juan Fangio on the lead. Catch him if you can, and his teammate P.J. Jones is trying hard.
Something that I think Alain tried to adhere, Don, is we are almost coming to the halfway point of the race. The Toyotas told us that without yellows, they could run approximately 45 to 50 minutes. That window is opening up very, very soon. I'm sure PJ will be made aware of that by his crew. And as a result, he may not push really hard to pass Juan at this point because he knows that within the next 10 minutes, as soon as Juan pits, he's going to get the lead.
As you mentioned, P.J. Jones' dad, Parnelli Jones, the 1963 Indianapolis 500 winner, is here. He won his first major race. Parnelli did when P.J. was just a year old. P.J. still hasn't got a lot of years on him, just 24 years old.
Oh, and his dad was a spectacular driver. I can remember seeing photographs of him driving the old Bud Moore Trans Am Mustangs totally sideways. His son's the same way. He never takes his foot out of the gas. Coming up to lap slower traffic here. This is one of the light class cars as they come up the hill. They will catch him on the uphill straight as they approach the corkscrew. Right there, blowing past already, and that's the difference in acceleration. Heavy braking here, all the way back down to low gear. Just a quick little flick to the left and right, and then squeeze power on gently. Because you come over the crest of the hill, if you try and apply power too early, the car is instantly sideways on you.
Morning fog off the Pacific has burned off. It's now become a radiant California day. Temperature on the track has to be up as the Toyotas continue to run 1-2.
A really incredible stat that I found out earlier. Since we saw this particular car debuted in 1991, in fact, when we were here doing this race, it has won 18 of the 24 races it has entered. It's really remarkable. It's 75% winning ratio. I don't know of any other car in history that has ever achieved that. Well, there's a telling stat right there. Something, too. The one race that the Porsche 962C did win, the Toyotas deliberately did not enter. So, just an overpowering display of brilliant technology and brilliant application by the crew.
We saw P.J. Jones pit early when the caution flag was out. A lot of things can happen in a pit stop, many of them bad. Do you think P.J. can go the distance without pitting again?
No, I think he will require another splash for gas. That he's going to need that for sure. But in fact, look, right there you see the Toyotas all alone, so Juan has gone into the pits. There he comes.
So Fangio, the leader, comes into pit. P.J. Jones goes to the lead. Let's go down to Brian.
Fangio stops it on the mark. The service starts. Full load of fuel, 4 new tires. You might notice on the side of the car, the number 28 is being displayed on both Toyotas in memory of the late Davey Allison. A nice touch by Dan Gurney and the Toyota team. Service still going on. They're wiping the windshield clear for Juan Fangio. He's revving the motor. He's waiting now for the fueling to be completed. We want to make sure every last drop is in there and the fuel cell is full. For a second stop for the Toyota team. Fangio rejoins the fight.
We have a spin out. Try to pick that up.
Wayne Taylor. Back underway, though.
Well, we're back on board with Wayne, but having problems.
Yeah, you can hear some of the gravel that he picked up as he was off track, just falling out there. That was the sound just a moment ago. It's not grinding gears.
Taylor seems back up to speed as P.J. Jones now on the lead, and Fangio, the favorite and the early leader, now in pursuit of Jones. Last year, Fangio and Jones sped away from the field, and Fangio was the winner.